More than 1,100 illegal immigrants arrested in Florida in 6 days, ICE says. In late April 2025, immigration agents launched one of the largest crackdowns Florida has seen in years. They called it Operation Tidal Wave, a joint effort between the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Florida State Police, and local law enforcement. Officers moved quickly, carrying out raids across multiple cities and towns. The operation sparked strong reactions across the country. Some called it necessary, others saw it as deeply troubling. Over just 4 days, April 21st to April 26th, Florida became the stage for the largest immigration sweep in ICE's history. Nearly 1,120 undocumented immigrants were arrested across the state. The operation wasn't just large, it was historic, and it signaled something bigger, a shift in how the current U.S. administration is approaching immigration enforcement. This wasn't business as usual, it was a new chapter. Operation Tidal Wave didn't just rely on federal agents. It brought in local forces, state troopers, county sheriffs, and city police, working side by side with ICE. The legal backbone of this collaboration is the 287G program. Normally, this program lets local officers assist federal immigration agents, but mostly from inside jails. Not this time. Florida took it further. Now, under expanded agreements, local officers are doing more than watching from the sidelines. They're out on the streets, making arrests, conducting raids at workplaces, sweeping through neighborhoods. It's the most aggressive use of 287G powers the country has seen so far. And for supporters, it's a model. For critics, a warning. Either way, it's clear, immigration enforcement in America just crossed a new line. The operation didn't just rely on one agency, it was a full-force mobilization. The Florida Highway Patrol was out in full force. Sheriffs from over a dozen counties joined the effort. Even the state's fish and wildlife officers took part. Many other state agencies also sent in their teams. On the federal side, some of the biggest law enforcement agencies were involved. ICE's Homeland Security Investigations, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, and the U.S. Marshals Service. This wasn't thrown together overnight. It was the result of months of intelligence gathering and meticulous logistical planning. Every move was coordinated. Every target was mapped out. And the numbers? ICE confirmed that out of the nearly 1,120 people arrested, roughly 63% already had prior arrests or criminal convictions. The charges ranged from serious violent offenses like assault and gang activity to smaller infractions, including traffic violations and immigration-related crimes. Among those arrested were members of some of the most feared gangs operating in the U.S. MS-13, Tren de Aragua, Brown Pride Aztecas, Barrio Azteca, Sureños, Sur 13, and the 18th Street Gang. Some were wanted for armed carjacking, others for trafficking drugs, possession, assault. The list goes on. ICE also reported that 378 individuals had final removal orders from immigration judges. That means their deportation cases were already closed, and the arrests paved the way for immediate action. In terms of national origin, the detainees came mostly from Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, Venezuela, El Salvador, and various other countries. Many had previously been deported and had illegally re-entered the United States multiple times, which compounds the challenges ICE faces in enforcing immigration laws. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis didn't hold back. He praised the operation publicly, calling it a prime example of how state and federal forces can work together on immigration enforcement and get results. He pointed to Florida's strong role in the 287G program as a game changer. By partnering more deeply with ICE, the state had given federal agents a bigger reach and more local support than ever before. DeSantis made it clear, Florida isn't just participating, it's leading. He framed Operation Tidal Wave as a cornerstone of the state's larger push for border security and public safety. The message from the governor's office was direct. This operation, they said, wasn't about mass sweeps or political points. It was about targeting criminals, dangerous offenders, repeat violators who ignored immigration laws. Officials argued that removing those individuals makes communities safer and reinforces the rule of law. Despite this political backing, critics and immigrant rights advocates raised serious concerns. They pointed out that large-scale raids like Operation Tidal Wave often sweep in many individuals who have no violent criminal histories. some of whom have pending legal status applications or only minor offenses. Advocates warned that such arrests could lead to family separations and destabilize communities, especially since many detainees are longtime residents with established families and social ties in Florida. The use of collateral arrests, detaining individuals who happen to be present at targeted locations but are not the primary enforcement focus, raises questions about due process and humane treatment during these operations. In some cases, people attending mandatory ICE check-ins or court appointments have been arrested unexpectedly, which adds to widespread anxiety within immigrant communities. Community organizations and legal advocates have reported a sharp increase in fear and uncertainty following the operation. Since April, daily ICE arrests in Florida have tripled compared to last year. The pace is faster, the stakes are higher. Most of those arrested now face fast-tracked deportation hearings, often with little time or support to fully present their cases. That sudden pressure has created a growing need for legal aid, community outreach, and family support services. Behind the scenes, the strategy is anything but random. This crackdown is driven by detailed planning. Intelligence gathering, surveillance, and close coordination between agencies are at the heart of it. Task forces carry out focused raids at workplaces, at homes, even during public appointments. Thousands of officers have been deployed across the state, some in uniform, others in plain clothes or full tactical gear. It marks a clear shift. Immigration enforcement, which traditionally operated mainly by detaining individuals after arrests or by monitoring border crossings, has now taken a significant and more visible turn in Florida. Instead of waiting near jails or along the border, enforcement efforts have shifted directly into the streets and neighborhoods themselves. This means authorities are no longer relying solely on reactive measures, like detaining undocumented immigrants after an offense or in routine checkpoints, but are actively conducting proactive operations. These operations include large-scale raids, targeted sweeps of workplaces, residential areas, and public venues, making enforcement far more immediate and apparent within communities. This shift reflects broader changes in immigration policy and resource allocation, notably under programs like the expanded 287G agreements, which empower local and state law enforcement agencies to work hand-in-hand with federal authorities. Through this cooperative framework, routine police officers now have the legal authority and training needed to arrest and detain suspected undocumented immigrants during routine stops or community patrols. Combined with advanced intelligence gathering methods and coordinated multi-agency task forces, enforcement has become quicker, more targeted, and more public. Despite the change in methods, moving from quiet, reactive measures to highly visible, proactive crackdowns inside neighborhoods, the underlying goal has remained unchanged: to uphold immigration laws by identifying, arresting, and removing those residing illegally in the country, particularly focusing on individuals with prior deportation orders or criminal records who pose risks to community safety. But that line is getting harder to see. Critics point out that while the focus is supposed to be on dangerous criminals, these broad sweeps often include non-criminal immigrants, people with no serious records. That's where the debate heats up. Is this really about safety, or is it casting the net too wide? And as the operation continues, that question remains at the heart of a growing national conversation. From a national perspective, Florida's enforcement surge is part of a broader trend under this administration's intensified immigration policies. ICE reports that nationwide arrests have doubled compared to the previous year, with Florida, Texas, and California collectively accounting for more than 40% of all arrests. As the debate rages on, communities across Florida and the nation are left grappling with a difficult balance: enforcing immigration law while preserving human dignity and legal fairness. Operation Tidal Wave made that tension impossible to ignore. It showcased just how far modern enforcement efforts can go, with over 1,100 undocumented individuals arrested in just 6 days. It brought together ICE, state, and local agencies in a level of coordination rarely seen before, powered by Florida's expanded use of the 287G program. The operation focused on a mix of criminal offenders and unauthorized immigrants, including gang members and repeat deportees, but it also swept up others, fueling concerns about civil rights, due process, and the wider impact on families and communities. Florida has now become ground zero in the national immigration enforcement fight, a place where hardline policy, public safety goals, and humanitarian concerns all collide. This isn't just a Florida story. It's a reflection of where America's immigration system is headed: increased local enforcement, broader legal authority, and faster, larger crackdowns. and at the heart of it all, one unanswered question. In the push for security, how much justice are we willing to risk?